Now, you are addicted to SPSS. That's it. No going back. You sort of feel this is your eternal friend. You're going to stay with him, well, with it forever and ever. Now, you really want to do something more. Earlier we were talking about comparing 3 time points. Anxiety now, anxiety 6 months later, and then anxiety 12 months later. Okay? So, but what if you sort of go, well, all right, look at 3 time points. But what about if we put, say, gender into the equation? So in other words, the changes in the scores over time, okay, does it depend on gender differences? Okay, maybe to ask the question in a different way, do men and women differ in terms of experiencing the anxiety scores over time? Do men and women differ in terms of experiencing the anxiety scores over time? So maybe women experience the anxiety scores, they might increase the anxiety scores over time compared with men, or vice versa. So here we have the 3 time points, okay? Anxiety here, now, anxiety 3 months, and then anxiety 6 months, just like before. And then the participant completed this questionnaire 3 times. But now we also want to consider the gender difference. So we want to see whether the changes in these 3 scores, the changes in these 3 scores, anxiety 3 months and 6 months changes, whether these changes depend on gender difference. Okay, so how do you deal with that in SPSS? Well, you go to anxiety. See, I need some psychotherapy. I think, I really need to see someone about my delusion. That's not anxiety, that's analyze. Wake up. All right, so analyze, general linear model, and again we go for repeated measures because you repeated the measure 3 times. Okay, so now we go to the factor 1. So let's change the name. Again, we call that anxiety follow-up, just like before. Okay, and just like before, we have 3 levels. Okay, and why 3 levels? Because you have anxiety 3 months, and anxiety 6 months, you see. Then you define it. Okay, now, so we put the anxiety now, anxiety 3 months, and then anxiety 6 months, the 3 time period. But in addition to this now, we also put in the gender, so male and female. So we ask the question as to whether these changes over time would interact with gender difference, would depend on gender differences. Okay, maybe men and women are just different in terms of experiencing these anxiety over time. So you go to the option, you pick these 3, put them there, and then you compare the main effects. Now this will allow you to look at the interaction effect. Okay, interaction between the gender differences and the score differences over time. Continue, and then just click OK. Fantastic! 冇得頂啊! So we have 1, 2, and 3. Anxiety 3 months, anxiety 6 months. Alright, and then we have the gender difference. So the table you need to look at is this one here. So I will tell you more about this during the lecture. Alright, so here anxiety would tell you whether there are significant differences over the 3 time period. And here is anxiety time gender. It tells you whether the changes in the anxiety would depend on gender. So, no significant results here. That means, the changes in anxiety is actually don't depend on gender. Okay, so in other words, women and men are no different in terms of experiencing the changes in anxiety over time. Okay, so I will tell you more about this, during the lecture. But here is how you look at the differences in the scores over time, but depending on gender. So maybe another way of putting it, this is, this is a way to answer the question as to whether men and women are different in terms of experiencing anxiety scores over time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going home and I'm going